Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today I want to talk about something that's going to challenge your beliefs and maybe make you angry, or maybe you disagree with. But I say this because I want to challenge your beliefs because I want to see if you're actually doing it right. And we have to think about the directions we are taking in sport in terms of training and performance, and think, are we going in the right direction? Are we recognizing the changing world at the moment and adapting our training accordingly? The fact is that whether you're a high quality athlete, world-class athlete, or just a weekend warrior, or whatever the case is, that injury rates are not going down. And this is something that we have to recognize. In all the fact that all the research out there that we've done on injury about the human body, athletes are still getting injured. And we've got to recognize this and say, hold on, is our current training methodology working? And this is why I put out challenging posts that make us think, because they need to be challenged. We need to think of the social norms that we do things at the moment and think, are we going in the right direction? Can we do things better? Because one of my favorite quotes comes from Mark Twain, is that once you find yourself on the side of popular opinion, it's time to pause and reflect. And we have to think about what our social norms are. Are we doing things correctly? And one of the things as well, this post is about why athletes should learn to train less. And the fact is that athletes are a different breed from the rest of the population in the world. In the fact that most of the population have to be more active and take more exercise, athletes need to learn to take less exercise. And I talk about a little bit on my website about fitness addiction and how it has become a bit of a plague in sport at the moment, in the fact that an athlete cannot not train. An athlete has found that his or her identity is made up in their sport, and their identity is made up in the training they do. And the fact is that they have to train to feel good. It's got to that stage there. And I talk about the fact that fitness has now become, a lot of fitness work in training has become more of a comfort blanket for athletes, much more than sport enhancing. And I think it's so prevalent that, and we do ignore it in sport, but it's prevalent out there. And distance runners are something they could pay a lot of attention to. Is the fact is there is still a more is better mentality out there for training. And despite the fact that, say, we talk about recovery and stuff like that, we need to actually start thinking about, hold on, something I need to go further. We have to concentrate further on this. Now, the reason is that, if I actually talk about, what else am I talking about? The actual training, that training mentality, that fitness addiction could be a reason for rivals. Your rivals that you're competing against, you hear about them, how much they're training, and you don't want to be left behind. So you train as much as they do. And it's also to do with how the fact is that there's training beliefs out there, that archaic training beliefs from yesteryear, from 20 and 30 years ago, that are still being peddled at the moment. The point is that we've got to understand is the world we live in right now is different. We're exposed to far more stresses and far more frequent challenges and stresses throughout the day than we were used to. And the fact is, this comes from electrical devices, what's on our phones. We're exposed to everybody's opinion and news 24/7 all the time on our phones, and this has a physical impact on our body. And the fact is, because of these electrical devices, our stress levels, we're not recovering from those challenges we come up. It's called the fight or flight syndrome. The fact is that we come across a challenge throughout the day, and we're not fully recovering before we come across another one and another one and another one. And it's becoming more, and we're getting younger as a generation in reaching that stress levels. Anxiety levels are rising in younger people. But if that's the fact now, that if we're taking that, which research shows that stress levels are much higher at the moment, then sport is in the social norm, and that means in sport we are not recovering. We can't have higher stress levels and chronic stress levels and recover properly at the same time. It's impossible. The body doesn't work like that. The body needs to be in a relaxed state. So if we are not willing to actually take ourselves away from electrical devices and put them away and make changes, substantial changes in the way we use them, and the amount we use them throughout the day, then something has to give in our training. And that means training frequency might have to give, and we have to prioritize more time towards recovery. The fact is, 20 or 30 years ago, we could probably do the amount of training right now and get through it. And training injury wouldn't be so much of a thing back then. But we can't do that now. There's too many challenges and stresses and diversions from our training at the moment that cause us a stress state. Now, stress state, as you will realize from my other videos, causes the body to go into a kind of protective state, muscle switch off, and that causes compensation, which can cause injury but lower performance as well. So we need to really concentrate on our, if we're not ready to make the changes to a use of devices, then something has to give, and that may be training frequency. Now, you might be wondering, well, I can't train any less. Well, yes, you can. Your recovery from your training is of paramount importance, specifically now. And then let's think, you might be thinking, well, how much training should I be doing then? If that's the case, then we're thinking about, I'll talk about that in a minute, but if you think about the fact is a simple mentality of doing a very tough training session, whatever athlete you do, it might be in the gym, might be on the track. If you've done a really tough lactic training session where lactic has just killed it. I went through them as an athlete as well. They were really painful, left me on the floor. Then you have to wonder why, after that really tough training session, why are you doing anything more than active recovery the next day? Have you so little trust in that tough training session you've just done that you're going to put your body through it again? Are you really going to lose anything by taking active recovery after a really tough training session? And you can't do tough training sessions, too many tough training sessions. Surely that must be the case. You surely must realize that. But if you've done a tough training session, why are you doing anything more than active recovery? Your body needs to recover from that session. Now, for me personally, I'm looking at, let's take it as, I'm not saying take it as a given, as a complete rule for every athlete, but I don't know why, regardless of the quality of you as an athlete, whether you're world class or whatever the case is, why an athlete is not taking 2 full days of recovery per week. There should be no reason why that's not the case. Whether you're a distance runner, whether you're a sprinter, football, there's no reason why you cannot take 2 full days off recovery. What are you going to lose? And you have to ask yourself, if you're challenging that and you're saying, no, that's not right, well, why challenge it? What's stopping you from taking that on board? Is the fact is, well, I need to do this training session. No, you don't. Your recovery takes priority over everything else. Your recovery from your tough training sessions that you do takes priority over everything else, especially nowadays. So this is just a video just to give you a bit of challenge your thoughts as well. But just look at the evidence in front of us. If our stress levels are higher nowadays in society, then sport is part of society. We're not recovering properly. That means something has to give, and and that means training frequency has to go down. Okay, so hopefully that video was helpful to you. Hopefully it makes you think about your training at the moment. Doesn't mean you have to take 2 days. Maybe you want to take off more, maybe 3 days. If you consider if it's 4 or 5 days that you're doing training, are you really going to lose fitness? In terms of training, I fully believe you only do as much as necessary that's going to get an overload. For consistent training, let's do it as much as you do to get an overload. Again, thanks for watching this video. If you could like the video, I'd really appreciate it. If you could share it, I would appreciate more, and enjoy the rest of the week.